Right now, in this calendar year of 2026, federal agencies across the United States are quietly matching three databases they have never matched at this scale before. And most seniors who send money home will never see this match coming until it is already in their immigration file. If you are a lawful permanent resident who sends money to family abroad, if you have ever broken a single cash deposit into two smaller deposits to avoid the bank paperwork, if you currently rely on Social Security benefits and you also send a few $100s home every month to support an aging parent or a grandchild back home, then you need to sit down with your coffee and listen to this today. The economic harm first, because a money services business can flag a transaction for review the moment it crosses an internal line, and your bank can close your account without telling you why and without giving you your money back for weeks. The legal harm next, because breaking one large cash deposit into smaller pieces for the purpose of dodging the reporting paperwork is a federal crime named in Title 31, Section 5324 of the United States Code. And that crime does not require intent to harm anyone. It only requires intent to dodge the paperwork, and the law today is enforced nationwide. The status harm after that, because under Title 8, Section 1229A of the United States Code, which is the Immigration and Nationality Act Section 240, the burden of proof in immigration court sits on your shoulders, not on the government, which means the same cash pattern that got you flagged can become the reason your green card case is denied or your citizenship application is delayed for years. The existential harm last because a denied immigration case is not just paperwork, it is the difference between staying with your grandchildren tonight and being separated from them in 2026. None of what you just heard comes from gossip. None of it comes from social media chatter. None of it comes from TikTok rumor, and none of it comes from a single news headline. Every word in this video is grounded in the public record, in the Federal Register, in the Code of Federal Regulations, and in named federal agencies including the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network at the Treasury Department, the Department of Homeland Security, United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, the Social Security Administration, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Department of Justice. By the end of this video, you will know which dollar pattern actually triggers a federal flag in 2026. You will know the exact statute the government uses to charge that pattern, and you will know the 7 concrete things you can do this week to protect your status without panicking today. The first thing I want to do is take the fear down a notch, because the law I am about to describe to you is not a brand new law. Title 31. Section 5313 of the United States Code. The statute that requires banks to file a currency transaction report when one customer moves more than $10,000 in cash in a single business day has been on the books since 1970, more than 55 years ago. Title 31, Section 5324 of the United States Code, the federal structuring statute that makes it a separate crime to break one transaction into smaller pieces for the purpose of dodging that currency transaction report, has been federal law since 1986, nearly 40 years now. What is new in 2026 is not the letter of the law. What is new is the speed, the scale, and the automation of how federal agencies share the data those banks file. That difference matters to a 68-year-old green card holder in California because the same transaction that used to sit in a local bank file now travels within hours to a federal database, and from that federal database it can land on an immigration officer's desk before your next birthday in 2026. The dollar number that surprises almost every senior I talk to is much smaller than they expect. Most people think a federal currency report only triggers at $50,000 or $100,000, but the actual triggering number under Title 31, Section 5313 of the United States Code is any cash deposit, withdrawal, or transfer that exceeds $10,000 in a single business day at one financial institution. There is also a related reporting number below that, because multiple cash transactions of under $10,000 each that happen in one day at one institution and add up to more than $10,000 must likewise be reported, per the Justice Manual at Section 2030. The figure you need to remember is $10,000. There is a pending bill in Congress numbered H.R. 1799 that would raise the automatic reporting floor from $10,000 to $30,000. But as of this recording, that bill has not become law in 2026, so the $10,000 figure is still the live number you must plan around today. Here is how the data actually travels from a teller window in your local bank branch to a database that an immigration officer can pull up on their screen. The bank or the money services business, where you send your remittance files, a currency transaction report, through a secure federal system run by the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, which is part of the United States Treasury Department, and which most people simply call FinCEN. FinCEN aggregates those reports with reports from other banks and from money transmitter networks like Western Union, MoneyGram, Remitly, and the dozens of smaller licensed sender networks operating in 2026. FinCEN then shares that aggregated data under information sharing agreements like the one updated on June 12, 2026, under Section 314B of the Patriot Act framework, with law enforcement including the Department of Homeland Security, which is the parent agency of United States Citizenship and Immigration Services and of Immigration and Customs Enforcement. The Social Security Administration, which is the federal agency that pays your retirement benefit and which sometimes cross-references your earnings record with death records and with benefit eligibility, also feeds data into this same ecosystem under its own agreements. The Internal Revenue Service, which is the federal tax agency that already knows your wage income, your self-employment income, and your retirement distributions, signed a memorandum of understanding with Immigration and Customs Enforcement that allows cross-checks of taxpayer addresses and tax data for individuals facing final orders of removal. The Department of Justice, which runs the Executive Office for Immigration Review, sees the same flagged transactions through the immigration court system. In plain English, in 2026, the bank teller, the remittance app, the tax agency, and the immigration officer are no longer separate silos. They are now a single lookup table, and your deposit is a row inside that table today. Let me introduce you to the first person whose story I want you to carry with you through this entire video. Maria, a lawful permanent resident from El Salvador who works as a certified nursing assistant in Texas, has lived in the United States for 19 years, earns about $48,000 a year before taxes, and sends roughly $400 home to her mother in San Salvador on the second Friday of every month. Over the past 3 years, Maria has also, on 3 separate occasions, walked into her bank branch before a major holiday and made a cash deposit of $9,500 to help a sibling pay for a medical procedure that was not covered by insurance back home. None of those deposits was over $10,000 on its own. Combined, those deposits added up to more than $10,000 in a single business day on at least 2 of those 3 occasions in 2026, and the bank, under the rules of Title 31, Section 5313, is required to treat those combined transactions as one reportable event. Maria did not know this rule existed until a notice arrived in the mail 6 weeks later asking her to explain the source of the funds, and at that point, the data had already been forwarded to FinCEN and onward to the Department of Homeland Security for review in 2026. The second person I want you to meet has a different immigration status and a different economic pattern, and her story is the one that should make every senior with a pending citizenship application sit down a little straighter. Aisha, a naturalization applicant from Somalia who works as a home health aide in Minnesota, has had her green card for 11 years and filed Form N-400, the application for naturalization, in 2024. She passed the English and civics tests in 2025, and her oath ceremony is scheduled for later this year in 2026. Over the past 2 years, Aisha has made regular cash deposits of about $2,800 every 2 weeks from her paycheck, plus a yearly cash gift of $9,000 from her brother, who is a United States citizen, which her brother withdraws from his own account and hands to her in cash for cultural and religious reasons rooted in their family tradition. The accumulated cash gifts banked in a single business day in 2025 crossed the $10,000 line, and the bank's currency transaction report was filed under Title 31, Section 5313. Aisha's naturalization file is now sitting on an officer's desk with that flag attached, and the officer has the legal authority under Title 8, Section 1229A, which is the Immigration and Nationality Act, Section 240. To ask Aisha to prove that she is eligible for citizenship with a higher standard than she was led to believe in 2026. This is the moment I need you to understand the single most important legal difference between a traffic ticket, a criminal case, and an immigration case. In a criminal courtroom in the United States, the government carries the burden of proof, which means a prosecutor has to prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt before a jury of everyday Americans. In an immigration courtroom in 2026, the burden sits on you, the applicant, and the standard is much lower than beyond a reasonable doubt. Under Title 8, Section 1229A of the United States Code, you have to prove by what lawyers call a preponderance of the evidence that you are eligible for the benefit you are seeking. In plain English, that means if an immigration judge is 60% convinced and 40% not convinced, you lose. The 80% versus 20% line that protects you in a criminal case does not protect you in an immigration case, and an unexplained cash pattern in your bank record can easily push the judge past that 60% line in 2026. Before I give you the action plan, I have to spend a minute naming the people who will try to take advantage of your fear in the next 12 months, because they are already circling this topic on social media in 2026. Watch out for what are commonly called notarios in Spanish-speaking communities and what are sometimes called immigration consultants in other languages, who advertise on Facebook, on TikTok, on WhatsApp groups, and on church bulletin boards even though they are not licensed to practice law in any state in the United States. Watch out for the so-called ghost lawyer, which is a person who posts confident voice memos on social media, claims to be a former officer at United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, and then asks for an upfront fee of anywhere from $700 to $4,500 to file a remedy that does not actually exist. Watch out for bait-and-switch schemes where a first consultation is offered for free or for $50, and then the price balloons into $5,000 or more once your file is in their hands. And watch out for anyone who tells you to withdraw cash from multiple branches on the same day, specifically because you were told by someone that splitting deposits avoids paperwork. Because under Title 31, Section 5324, that advice, if followed, is itself a federal crime in 2026. The honest red flag checklist is short and easy to remember. If they cannot give you a real attorney bar number, walk away. If they demand cash up front and will not give you a written contract, walk away. If they guarantee a specific outcome for your case, walk away. If they say they used to work for United States Citizenship and Immigration Services and refuse to show verifiable credentials, walk away. If they tell you to split deposits specifically to avoid the bank's reporting paperwork, walk away immediately in 2026. Here is the action plan, written so you can read it aloud to a friend or to a sibling who sits next to you at the kitchen table this week. First, open every bank statement you have received in the last 24 months and circle every cash deposit, every wire transfer, and every money order over $1,000 with a red pen, because you need to see the picture before the government sees the picture in 2026. Second, write down the dollar amount you send abroad every month, the name of the licensed money transmitter you use, and the country where the money lands, because that paper trail is the single strongest proof of lawful source of funds you can carry into a future immigration interview in 2026. Third, stop making any cash deposit or withdrawal on your own that is greater than $9,500 in a single day at one bank. And if a family gift crosses that line, ask the giver to write and sign a dated letter stating the source of the funds, the relationship, and the reason for the gift. Then keep that letter with your bank records in 2026. Fourth, do not, under any circumstance, break one transaction into smaller pieces because someone on social media told you that splitting avoids paperwork. Because Title 31, Section 5324 of the United States Code makes that exact act a federal crime regardless of the dollar amount in 2026. Fifth, if you have a pending Form N-400 naturalization application, a pending Form Y-851 renewal, a pending Form Y-729 family petition, or any other open case with United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, hire a licensed immigration attorney who is a member in good standing of a state bar association, not a consultant, not a notario, and not a ghost lawyer, and bring that attorney a complete copy of your last 24 months of bank statements and money transfer receipts before your next interview in 2026. Sixth, if you receive Social Security retirement benefits, survivor benefits, or a supplemental security income payment, log in to your My Social Security account at the official ssa.gov website and confirm that your direct deposit routing numbers and your mailing address are correct, because a letter that goes to the wrong address in 2026 is a missed deadline in 2026. Seventh, share this video with one person in your life tonight, because the most common pattern I see in 2026 is two seniors in the same family making the same mistake within weeks of each other, and one conversation at a kitchen table can prevent two denied cases in 2026. Let me close this out by turning the fear back into preparation, because fear without a plan is just panic, and a plan is a kind of power that no government agency can take away from you. The law that governs your case is Title 31 of the United States Code. The agency that monitors your bank record is the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, and the year you are planning around is 2026. None of those facts change no matter who wins the next election, no matter what country sends the next rumor across your phone, and no matter what algorithm decides which video plays after this one in 2026. Thank you for spending this hour with Senior USA Point, the channel that speaks plainly about the personal finance and immigration crossroads so that you do not have to read a law library to understand your own life. If you found this useful, tap the button below and ring the bell so the next video lands in front of you the moment it goes live, because the topics in 2026 are turning over faster than the calendar, and missing one weekly video can mean missing a deadline in 2026. After you subscribe, drop a comment below telling me your specific visa category, your specific family situation, or your specific worry, because the next topic on this channel will be picked from the real questions of real seniors like you, not from a guessing game. Then, before you close this tab, send this video to one specific person in your life who carries the same risk profile that you do: your sister who sends money home every month, your father who still walks into the bank branch with a cash envelope, your uncle whose naturalization interview is scheduled this winter, or your coworker from the prayer group who just got a Form N-400 receipt notice in the mail in 2026. One share at a kitchen table can keep a case from being denied, and preparation is a form of power, not panic, today.